members of the board, headmaster, 110% staff who do not look like they've just come through a long term, parents, and most importantly, young people of Springvale School. Thank you for inviting me to join in with this amazing day. I can't think of a better way to finish my term than celebrating with you with your efforts and achievements today. So once again, thank you. Your headmaster has asked if I would address you about an issue that is hugely prevalent in our lives at this moment. Parents, we live in a time which has shifted so much the focus of how we deal with situations, how we deal with each other, how we relate, how we communicate, how we gain information, even the way we speak. Young people, did you know that when mom and dad were at school, words like hashtag, emojis, surfing the net, even texting, they were never used. Mom and dad didn't grow up with those. And as for your grandparents, young people, when they were at school, they didn't look at any screens except maybe a TV screen, and that was probably black and white. So what we're talking about is, in a very short time, lots of things have changed in what we know as our cyber world. And that's what I would love to talk about today. So I have a confession to make first. I own only 2 devices. And one of them is a rather lowly Samsung J1, I think, with a very cracked screen and limited storage. I do not do social media, except for WhatsApp and my Skypes to my family. I have never tweeted or posted a blog. I've never entered a chat room. I am not an internet fundi. However, I do know a lot of young people, and I have talked with a lot of young people who have been caught up in an internet situation that has gone horribly wrong. I do know the damage that is caused when things go wrong on the internet. One of the girls that I spoke to a few years ago said, "Mrs. Kirk, I wish that when I was young, somebody had told me about the damages and the danger of the internet." So today, I'm fulfilling part of that wish, and I'm telling you a little bit of her story. So, I could tell you that the internet is bad. Parents, you must do everything in your power to stop your young people from using the internet. And young people, you must not go onto your devices and screens. I could say that. But there are 2 reasons why I'm not going to do that. Firstly, even though parents, you might agree with me, you wouldn't listen to me. Internet usage is too entrenched in our everyday lives for us to turn our back on it. Secondly, if I told you that the internet is evil and destructive, I would be lying. The internet is not evil. It's not destructive. The internet is marvelous. It is a culmination of man's extraordinary vision and scientific brilliance to create access and connection such as the world has never known. The internet is not the problem. It's our use of it that is the problem, or should I rather say, it's our abuse of it that is the problem. And for parents, part of that abuse is because of our ignorance. Today, I'd like to shed a tiny bit of light on that ignorance. Let me illustrate with a reference to a wonderful movie that hit our circuits nearly 40 years ago. So, the movie was The Guards Must Be Crazy in the 1980s. South African comedy that made a profound statement about how we struggle with things that we don't understand. So briefly, a glass Coke bottle falls from a light aircraft into a tribe of San people living happily in the Kalahari Desert in Botswana. At first, the bottle is received with delight and wonder, but no one actually knows what it was made for. And each person in the tribe suddenly finds that they need that particular bottle to help them function with their very particular needs. Suddenly, competition, stealing, resentment, envy, the human traits that are most divisive become rife in the community, and the tribe, who had never before experienced conflict, are faced with a dilemma as to what to do with this gift that the gods had apparently bestowed upon them. They decide, for the sake of the harmony, nay, for their very survival, that the gift must be given back. We, like the Sand People from Jamie Ace's movie, we find ourselves in amongst an extraordinary gift that meets the need of so much of what we have in life. But we are often oblivious to the dangers. And so we have, and our young people have become disrupted, disjointed, disturbed by this apparent gift. And we don't really know how it's happened. But as in the movie, the gift was not the problem. The problem is us, our ignorance and naivety with a system so broad and profound, a system that needs to be treated with care. Unlike the Sand People, and the gods must be crazy, we cannot give the gift of the internet back. By the way, who would we give it back to? Who does the internet belong to? But we can learn how to manage it so that we can keep control. That's what good parenting is all about. I am so glad that your headmaster spoke about Carol Dweck's growth mindset, because one of the great attributes of looking at growth mindset is the idea of using our imaginations, something that I'm passionate about. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to ask our young people to use their imaginations. They do it very quickly and naturally. But I'm also going to ask you parents and you teachers to use your imaginations. Young people, let's go on an adventure. Let's imagine that the internet is a kingdom that we want to get to safely. But there are some monsters in the way that we have to consider very seriously before we can arrive there. We're going to look at 3 of the monsters. There are many monsters, but we're going to look at 3 because these 3 monsters particularly like to chase young children. The first monster, when we're trying to get to the kingdom of the internet, is called time waster. Moms and dads, in 2017, CNN did a report on how much time young people spent on internet activity in the USA. These statistics are shocking. In 2011, a long time ago, 1% of children under 8 had their own smartphone. In 2014, it had gone up to 7%. 2017, 42% of children in the USA under 8 had their own device. And of those, they averaged 2 hours, 19 minutes a day on their device. Do you know how precious 2 hours is to an 8-year-old? Young people, the time waster monster will rob you of all the good things that you need to be doing in order to grow strong. Second monster is called seeing bad stuff. Parents, you need to know that there are not just people, but actually companies out there deliberately targeting children of 7, 8, 9 years to be exposed to inappropriate material, to create the bedrock for an addiction that will end up being very lucrative for that particular company. This monster robs us of our peace of mind. The next monster is called addiction. Young people, addiction makes you believe that there is no life except for what is happening behind your screen. And moms and dads, you might say, there's no addiction, not with my child, not in my family. If your young person becomes angry, frustrated, or difficult because screen time is interrupted, seeds of addiction are there. Here's the good news, parents. You can do much to stand in the gap between the internet being friend or foe. But to do that, and here's where I'm going to ask you to have your growth mindset, pick up your imagination, you need to be a superhero. So what do superheroes do? Firstly, they get to know the enemy. Do some research. Go to talks about how to use the internet wisely. Look, you're being superheroes already. Secondly, superheroes put up defenses. Use good, solid filters on whatever access you have to internet in your homes. Use boundaries for device usage. Thirdly, superheroes are vigilant. They watch carefully knowing what their children are seeing online, knowing the games they're playing or the apps that they're using, daily checking histories to make sure that there's no subtle enemy attacks getting past the defenses. Fourthly, superheroes teach others. So parents, teach your child how to communicate online with respect and with consideration. Teach your son or your daughter how to distinguish between wholesome viewing and harmful viewing. Finally, superheroes set the standard. This is the hardest, parents. Do we need to confront our own internet usage so that our sons and daughters can follow our example? Should we hide behind a screen when our children want us to play with them? Should we text, message, or should a phone call interrupt our family time? Is what's on my screen more attractive than my child's face? Parents, be superheroes. Go out and fight for your precious family. Set filters and boundaries, be vigilant, share your child's viewing, teach netiquette, good manners for online communication, and set a fine example of how to live harmoniously with our cyber world, because we can control it and not be controlled by it. So young people, it's not just up to our superhero mums and dads. I want to conclude by showing you 3 things that you can do to make it to the internet kingdom safely. So now, you imagine that you are warriors and you're putting on your armor, and we're going to put on 3 pieces of armor to help you make it. I'm going to turn these 3 things into A, B, C to help you remember. A, if you want to use the internet at all, or if you're using the internet, if you're looking at any screen, A, ask if there is anything on there that you're not sure about or you're unhappy about. Ask mom or dad about things that you are seeing. Ask a teacher about things that you are hearing or that your friends are looking at. Don't forget, your moms, your dads, your teachers are the superheroes. They've got your back. B, kind of a weird one, B. Behave. Behave online as if mom or dad, or even your headmaster, were watching you. In that way, you will be very careful online. You'll choose what you want to watch and what games you want to play carefully. And you'll be polite in all your communication. So behave. Number C, I think, is the hardest. Number C is control. And that's a hard thing to ask young people to do. Control your emotions. Control your emotions when it's time to get off the screen. Sometimes we want things now, and we want more of things. That's how toddlers and babies behave. It's not how young people behave. So learn how to control your emotions when you're using anything on the internet. So let's remember them. A, ask an adult if you're not sure. B, behave as if Mr. Peebles is watching you all the time. And C, control your emotions. Make sure you don't lose your temper when you don't get what you want. In conclusion, if we went away from here with the cloaks of our parental superheroes flying and the ABC armor of young people firmly in place, there would be no sad endings to our internet adventure. Instead, we would enjoy the wonder that is our cyber kingdom from a secure and a wholesome place. What more could we ask for? Thank you.